Hey guys, welcome to the Paint with Lovejoy website. This is the place for first-time and beginners to get comfortable with the painting process. If you have never painted, I am definitely the teacher for you. I will give you permission to play, to create with your hands, and I do consider this adult kindergarten, where you get to make memories with yourself or with loved ones. And you will notice that creative time is something that you will reference for the rest of your life. I do encourage you to send me photos of your paintings. And when you're done with my YouTube videos, please check out my Paint Your Pet course for even more in-depth and kind of my signature class. It's a lot of fun. Before we get started, I want to say thank you for being you. And I also want to give you permission to play today. I'm going to encourage that you take a lot of progress photos, and I do recommend that you turn off your distractions. Put your phone on mute. Please know that mistakes will happen. We call them happy accidents. And I'm going to encourage you to breathe throughout the painting process. Here are your recommended supplies and the colors for this particular video. This video also has a traceable, a line drawing at the beginning, and you can either purchase the traceable and transfer, or you can pause the video and draw it freehand, whichever you feel comfortable doing. Again, progress photos are important. And I'm going to encourage that you pause and play the video as much as you need and rewatch anything that you want. Now let's go ahead and get started painting. All right, so go ahead and take your first progress photo after you've transferred your traceable or drawn it freehand. And we're going to start in the background. So we're going to use the flat brush and white and yellow paint. You are more than welcome to switch out to your favorite color or a different color for the background, or even multiple colors. Same with anything on today's painting. You are welcome to switch out colors. Now I am just kind of playing with the color mixture, and you'll see that I make the yellow and white a couple of times. So with that being said, if you're doing the same thing, it is okay to play with color variation. So if it's maybe a little more yellow or a little white with each mixture, just kind of embrace that. And if you are one of my beginner painters, please go ahead, apply your paint a little bit thicker. You do want to compensate for the texture of the canvas, and when you apply your paint thicker, it does make blending a little bit easier. With that being said, you also have permission to paint a little messy. We have so many places in our life that you have to be controlled and perfect and so many things that painting doesn't need to be that for you. So you have permission to be kind of sloppy and messy here. Remember to breathe. You may not realize it, but you may be holding your breath right now. So take a big inhale, relax. I'm proud of you for just getting creative and stepping out of your normal routine today. All right, so we got the last top section to get our yellow and white in there, and then we will do a little bit of wet on wet blending, where we'll slap some of that yellow and even some of the direct white on top of our background and then blend it together. It's a very therapeutic process, and it's a lot of fun. If you need to, please feel free to switch down to a smaller brush as you're coming up closer to the traceable. And if you happen to overlap the lines on this traceable, totally okay. All right, so now we're going to grab some of that direct yellow, literally just slap it on there and then move your brush back and forth. And it's literally exactly what you did on the plate to mix your color. You're just doing it directly on your canvas. And again, this is a really just kind of fun way to just play with color, play with the pressure of your brush. Light pressure will create a smoother finish. More pressure creates what we call kind of creatively painterly marks. Your brush strokes will show up more with more pressure. And try both, see what works for you. When you are done with your background, take a progress photo, and we're going to be moving into the colors of the iris. And on today's painting, we're going to really play with perimeter mixing. So I want you to start to get comfortable with mixing your colors. We're going to start with blue and purple, and I am using a medium flat brush. You can use the medium flat brush or even a pointy brush for today. So doing about equal parts blue and purple. They are pretty dark on the video, but we're kind of starting with our shadow element first. And like I was saying a moment ago, you do not have to match these colors perfectly. Like just kind of come close. Your pigment may be different than what I'm using. And more importantly, what I want you to notice is our perimeter mixing today. And literally, it's exactly how it sounds. We'll be mixing our next color on the edge of a color you were just using. And this is a way to kind of keep your palette harmonious by keeping with a limited color palette. And here we're using white, yellow, blue, and purple. So we are limiting the colors we're using. All right. And again, pause the video as much as you need. As we move into other details, if you need to see something a little bit closer, pause the video, take a screenshot, and then zoom in closer. And I want you to observe the shapes, these abstract shapes, these blob shapes that I make, and then just come close to that on your canvas. I apologize for the autofocus not working correctly because I forgot to hit the lock when I filmed this. I definitely made sure my other videos that I filmed after this, I hit the auto lock or the autofocus lock. So again, I apologize for that frustrating element in this video today. So adding a little bit more blue, you can see where I pulled the blue. Oh, I apologize. Adding a little more purple, if you did the blue, doesn't really matter. Just kind of changing the shade and then just kind of blending on the perimeter of the color patch we were just using. All right, so still taking that same mixture. I'm still using my middle flat brush, my medium flat brush, but I am holding it sideways and almost making these angled little dash marks as I create the larger shape. Kind of an indication using the brush strokes as an indication of the flower opening up, the direction that it opens up. Again, that's something that you'll dive more into with more painting experience and practice. So just trying to introduce that concept to you today. So now I'm actually using the direct purple. Again, it is very dark on my canvas. So if your purple's a slightly different shade than what I'm using, that's okay. Embrace whatever colors that your acrylic paint, what you happen to have at home. All right, so again, we've got just that direct purple. You can see a difference when it is next to the blue and purple mixture, the darker one. And that's what I want you to start noticing as we do today's painting. When we get into the middle of some of that iris, I'm going to play with a bunch of different shades. So again, you do not have to match what I'm doing on screen. Just utilize more my steps in the process with the colors that you have at home. All right. So I'm going to go back to some white and purple. I did clean the brush just because I'm going to start going lighter. So if you want to, you can clean your brush in between your colors. Even notice again the perimeter mixing. I pulled some of that purple aside and then started mixing some of the white. So that way I still have my prior purple and my prior blue and purple mixture to even go back to and work with. So this lighter purple, this white and purple, again, just going in a few specific areas. And I am just making little dot and dash marks. Okay, these are not extensive or crazy little brush strokes. Keep it simple. All right, so here we're grabbing the white, again, doing the perimeter mixing because I want a lighter purple. And with that perimeter mixing, it's nice, again, that you can have your prior color and your new color that you're making. And by doing this, this is training your brain at the subtle shift when you add a different color to a prior mixture. And again, I'm using the medium flat brush. You can use the pointy brush. And I am almost radiating out these brush strokes. You'll be able to see it a little bit as soon as my hand moves. There we go. Trying to keep some of the prior colors. I don't want to completely diffuse them as I'm applying the color to the canvas, but leaving some of the choppy color. Don't feel like you have to blend today's painting extensively. It is going to be good to see these kind of different chunky colors. So that lighter white and purple, that light purple, was kind of filling in the remaining space except that little tongue area in the middle of the petal for that particular petal. Then we'll be moving on to other areas. Still using that light purple. And you even noticed here where I had to mix it 2 and 3 times, and having that prior color and pulling more of it into as I pull the white in there just helps for my color mixing. All right, and again, notice the brushstroke direction. Apologize for the autofocus annoyance, but notice that brush direction for this particular color. Um, as you're getting more and more into your painting process, your mark making and the direction of your brushstrokes can add a certain energy level to your painting. Kind of like Van Gogh and Starry Night, where you can see the movement in the sky. We're kind of doing the same thing, but on a smaller level, the movement inside each of these petals. And again, that's something I'm just trying to introduce some concepts, but it's something that you'll be like, okay, keep playing with it, keep learning more about it, and it'll make even more sense. So again, right now, that light purple, just little dots and dash marks, putting in the highlight value. Then going back, grabbing a little bit more of that medium purple, and I had enough color left that I could just grab from prior. And again, that's why it's awesome to do the perimeter mixing. But if you do need to mix it again, go ahead. It's that purple and that white, and add enough purple to get to that shade. Again, this is just good practice for your color mixing and even for your brain to start identifying some of these subtle shifts and changes in color. Again, these are little dots, slightly overlapping some of the other areas. You are strengthening your power of observation as you look on the screen, look at what I'm doing, and then mimic that on your painting at home. So here we're going to do a little bit more blue to the mixture, and I needed to refresh, so I added a little purple to it, and then a little bit of white, so that way we're going a little bit lighter. I do recommend that maybe you paint this painting quickly, so that way your paint stays wet and you can work on a little bit of the blending and the overlap. And if it's too much to paint quickly, again, go at your pace. But if your prior colors are drying as you're adding the new colors on there, just embrace that for your position on that painting at that time. So again, with this kind of blue, lighter blue purplish mixture, I'm going around some of the areas that we were just working on and adding the color. There we go. And going a little bit darker, adding a touch more blue. And again, going 1 or 2 shades darker than the blue shade you were just using. Go, filling in that center area. And again, less is more. So sometimes in these areas, you're just doing 2 or 3 little dots to fill up that space. We are not capturing every single detail, but we're doing an impressionistic kind of illusion of all these color variations. Nice, it's already taking shape and having really good depth already. And as I recommend in some of my other videos, and I will do that again in a moment, go ahead and look at your painting from a distance. Or when you're looking at your painting on your phone, it's the same thing as looking at your painting from 20 feet away without getting out of your chair. So it is okay if you like your painting more on your phone or from across the room. That's kind of just part of life. So now we're going back to the lighter blue. And if you still had some mixed, you can go back to use your original color or make it again by doing your perimeter mixing. Be kind to yourself as we go through this process. Again, you don't have to match the video exactly, but I do want you to start noticing all the subtle color shifts. And this is something that the more that you paint, the more subtleness you will start to notice. So don't be upset if you can only see a few shifts right now. With more practice and painting experience, you'll start to notice more and more subtle shifts. As you do this, you are strengthening your power of observation. And there's nothing wrong with being more and more observant. So again, we're using that light purple, that light bluish purple, added more purple to it. Again, just breaking up kind of the space and the shades on that last petal for this iris. And it is pretty cool by having all these different shades, the nice 3D effect that we have for these petals. So I went back to the blue, added more blue. You may be using your direct blue at that point as well, and that's okay. But again, trying to get a few more little shadow elements on that petal. All right. And then just going to go back to that purple and blue mixture, that first color that we used, and just fill in a few more spaces that are a little darker. And it is kind of nice sometimes with the perimeter mixing just to mix right on top of your prior colors. That way it helps you get a little closer if you're trying to color match. And then sometimes it also rehydrates the paint and you can pull some of that prior color into your current mixture. And it is pretty cool with just literally 3 colors, blue, purple, and white, the amount of variation in shades that we've been able to get today. All right, doing great. Take another progress photo. Look at your painting from a distance, because up close you may look at it and go, oh, this is such high contrast. But then from a distance, you're like, that looks beautiful. So again, remember to look at your artwork from different perspectives and different vantage points. So here I switched over to the pointy brush, grabbing the direct yellow for the center of these irises, placing it kind of heavy on there, and then we'll do a yellow and white mixture for the perimeter to do a little bit of mixing. And again, just giving a little hint of an illusion that we have this complement color in with this purple blue iris. Nice, doing great. I know it's a lot that we took on today with all the different color mixing, but you're doing an awesome job. All right, so here I actually just grabbed the direct white instead of doing a mixture of yellow and white because that yellow is pretty thick on there. So I'm taking the white and in between where the yellow and the shades of purple meet, just kind of putting that white and softening that transition a little bit, but keeping each of the yellow and the purple shades kind of intact. So I'm not doing a whole lot of blending. And again, I apologize for that autofocus. Annoying me right now, so I'm sure it's annoying you. But it wasn't enough to redo the video. All right, so I just actually put some green on my plate. So we're going to be doing green and yellow for the stem. We're going to start with the green and then we'll put some yellow highlights on there. Again, doing some wet on wet blending. I'm using the medium flat brush, but feel free to switch and use a pointy brush if needed. Right, and if your shade of green is lighter or darker than mine, totally okay. Whatever shade of green you have, just embrace it. My green is a bit on the transparent side, so I'm applying it pretty thick right now so I can avoid having to do 2 layers. Also, by adding it this thick, when I do add the yellow next, it's going to blend really nicely. So just grabbing that direct yellow, being pretty generous, gonna place it on there, and then you'll see how quickly that green starts to eat up the yellow. So go slow with your movement of your brush and be very generous with the amount of yellow pigment, so that way we have at least a bit of a contrast happening here. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. I'm intensifying the shadow with a little bit of blue, almost in between where I put the yellow and then on that left-hand side. All right, take your progress photo. I want you to take a break for about 15 or 20 minutes. Let your painting fully dry while I talk about my Paint Your Pet class that I want you to try later on. Um, but give your current painting time to dry, and then we'll come back to it. So with my Paint Your Pet course, you will not have to paint this fast, but you will learn to paint a realistic version of your pet or pop art. I offer both options. Here's my favorite part coming up, and these are pets with their portraits. And definitely very proud of all my students. Look at the great likeness that they got of their pets, and look at those proud smiles on the pet. So check out the Paint Your Pet course. It's awesome to learn the value scale and even the pop art stuff when you paint something that you love. And if you've never painted, I am a great teacher to start with. I do offer this as in-person workshops and online workshops, so trying to have something for everybody. All my steps are super easy and logical to follow. When you run out of pets to paint, you can move over and start painting your favorite animal. The only animal you can't paint is a human. You will impress yourself and your pet, so definitely check out the Paint Your Pet course and check out that discount code. So let's jump back into painting. I do want you to look at your painting from across the room about 10 feet away, and then take another progress photo and look at it there. This step is entirely optional. You do not have to do this if you do not want to. And I only do this for my beginner students, just because I've done it on so many of my other videos. It does help kind of clean up some of the edges and clean up the painting and the overall appearance. So again, optional. If you want to do this, I'm using the pointy brush, black paint, and basically redoing all those traceable lines. As you work with the pointy brush, a lot of times I recommend holding that brush perpendicular to the canvas at a 90-degree angle, use light pressure, and use just the last 2 millimeters of the brush. So it's almost like you're using the brush like a pencil. Notice how many times I do dip the brush into the black paint to grab more. And with that light pressure, it creates a bit of a skinnier line. More pressure will create a little bit of a wider line. Whatever width of line that you have, embrace it. Even if you have some skinny and wide lines, embrace that for today's painting. Nice. And again, I am keeping this painting in the same orientation just because I'm filming the video. Again, apologize for that autofocus. Um, but as you're at home, if you need to turn your canvas sideways, um, turn it upside down to make some of these lines, you adjust and change your painting to what you need. Again, keeping that light pressure. If you need to, if you're finding that you're kind of shaky, that means you're holding your breath. So exhale as you touch the brush to the canvas. And that will help steady out your hand and steady out your line. Please keep in mind this is not a race. Please take your time. Go at your pace. If you start to find that you're getting sloppier and irritated and not liking it, put the brush down, take a break, walk away, come back to it later. Just make sure you actually come back to it and finish your painting. Don't walk away forever from your painting. But seriously, walk away, take a break, eat something, come back to it when you feel a little more steady. Half of painting is learning to just kind of find your own process and adjust for what works for you. So again, you do not have to do any of my paintings ever in a single sitting. Most of you will do it in a single sitting, but you don't have to. All right, coming into the last area. Great job. Take your progress photo. Thank you so much for painting. Please add anything else you might want to your painting, but you did a great job. And I do recommend painting this again to see how much your skills improved from the last time. So please share your paintings with me. You can tag me in social media or send me an email. Don't wait too long to do your next one, and then definitely jump up and check out my Paint Your Pet course. And again, thank you guys. Until next time, cheers.